Welcome back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Aidan,
Jack.
And I'm Casey.
and we are back again in 2026 to talk about a couple different stories, but we're going to start with the biggest one, which is we now have a PLL regular season and postseason schedule. Um, and I think there are at least two or three big surprises on here. So, Jack and Casey, where do you guys want to begin?
I mean, let's kick it off right from the start.
hmm
Biggest surprise, Casey, I am so sorry, but not only are we not starting in Albany, but just no Albany,
At
period.
all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was a hard one.
it is. Yeah, I know you as an Albany native as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. I wonder, like, presumably they couldn't get the Albany like training camp with the university still being in session when the season is opening. So our first game is likely going to be Friday, either Friday, May 8th or Saturday, May 9th. Where you think, they have classes or finals and hopefully for the Great Danes, their lacrosse team is still playing. So I guess they just can't get the facilities. Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not going there at some point over the summer.
hmm
'Cause for the last several years, they've done, PLL opening. I think they've opened the season in Albany, maybe all years but two, like the COVID year, and then I think one other year they opened in Gillette. Maybe 2 years they opened in
That was
Gillette.
they definitely opened at Gillette the very first season in 2019. And
Yeah,
I think they also opened at Gillette in 2021.
yeah. I
Because
went
that
to one of
was
those. Yeah,
Yeah, because that was Rabel's one season
yeah,
with the Cannons in the PLL, and I remember that being a big deal that like he was starting the season in Boston. So it must have been the last 4 years then that they've been in Albany, 22, 23, 24, 25, and it
yeah.
worked so well for them. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that they typically well, they always stayed in the dorms. So if classes are still in session, students are still staying in the dorms, it would be a little tricky and probably far more expensive to have everyone up in hotels around Albany. And there's a number of hotels, but I don't, you know, no offense to Albany. I lived there for a long time, but I don't really know if they have, really nice hotels that would be able to support the WLL and the PLL
Not
for
to
that
mention
long.
you'd be competing probably with the Albany graduation at some point.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, again, not necessarily a surprise with moving the season up. I am. I guess if they're not going to Albany, I don't know where they would go first, but Utah seems a little interesting given that it's, they typically have moved a little bit east to west. And then we'll talk about this in a second, but they're coming back to the East Coast for the next weekend. But I think they play at that like Real Salt Lake facility. So
Mhm.
presumably that's just not occupied and it's where they were in the bubbles where they played every year. They come back to Utah. So yeah, it makes sense. We're really heartbroken for our friends in the Stampede that they,
Yeah.
don't get to see their boys. Yeah,
Yeah, and to your point too, with they obviously had the bubble there, so they have the infrastructure to store everyone for an extended period of time. So I guess logistically from that end, it does also make sense for Utah. And I don't want to completely derail us off of going through the schedule, but I'm going to take a little detour and just say that my hot take, I don't know if it's a hot take, it's just my take, is that I don't like them starting the season with a homecoming weekend. Like,
Mm,
because that means, well, first off, it means one team has a bye. So then you go through all of training camp and then you don't even get to play a game. And
yeah.
it just feels so awkward. I feel like the first opening weekend and also the last weekend should both be neutral sites to
I
keep
think I agree
everyone
with
on
that.
level playing field.
Yeah.
So just
yeah.
putting that out there, Mike.
Yeah. I'm
No, I
sure
like
that's
that
been a
idea
topic
too.
that they've thought about because it has felt very weird watching like the training camp vlogs and hearing like I remember it's the Redwoods 2 years ago. I forget who it was this past year, but just being like, training camp,
I
you
think it was the
won.
Outlaws.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And then they're like, all right, good training camp. See you guys in 8 days. And
Hmm.
it's weird. Makes you wonder if perhaps they could find a way to go to our next venue, week two. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Even the most diehard Rhode Island lacrosse fans. PLO is going to be in Pawtucket week two, which is also going to be the first week of the WLL season. So I don't know if maybe they're going to have a training camp in Rhode Island, or maybe presumably they're also going to be in Utah, and then just have that same kind of off week. Um, yeah, I am really bummed because I work at a college, and that's the week of my college's
Oh,
graduation, so I'm not going to be able to go to any games on the 17th. Um, really, really hoping the Cannons are the 15th or the 16th, as are the Guard. Um, yeah, I guess what were your thoughts seeing Rhode Island on the schedule?
it's not on my bingo
Caden,
card.
No.
I was
no.
like, what is in Pawtucket?
Yeah.
I didn't even, I also didn't apparently know how to pronounce it correctly either. I kept saying Pawtucket.
Hmm.
I'm not a New Englander born and raised. How am I supposed to know it's Pawtucket?
Also, like, yeah, you say what's in Rhode Island? No offense, I do like Rhode Island, but the fact that like that's where the stadium is, but when you think Rhode Island, you think Providence, if anything. So
Right.
it is kind of wild that it's Pawtucket.
Mhm.
I, as
Yeah.
a New Englander, I'm not going to complain about getting more games in our
Right.
area. These neutral sites that are quote unquote home games for us. I'm sure the whole battery contingent will be able to travel. I know, Aiden, you notwithstanding with college graduation, but the battery, as in like all Cannons fans, should be taking over the stadiums. But I do feel kind of bad for our Midwestern Texas, Georgia, Florida area teams that they did. Again, we'll talk later in the season. They finally got Columbus back, but do we really need Boston, Pawtucket, and Fairfield when there's no Dallas, no Minnesota, no Atlanta,
I
etc.?
was really hoping for Atlanta.
Yeah, I was too. I know you had said that in our chat. You thought maybe they would go there because they had just had that street lacrosse event. I
Hmm.
mean, I think they're definitely going to go back. It's just a question of when. Um, but I don't know. As they wind down, hopefully towards like 2028, 29, getting full home schedules, it will be tough to get some of these neutral site games. But um, yeah, I don't know. Like I am stoked. This is going to be the year that I think I go to the most in-person PLL weekends ever. Hopefully we're at Champ Series one of these weekends. We're still, working on that. We got Fairfield, we got Pawtucket, we got Boston, obviously. And then, fingers crossed the Cannons are in the
Long Island.
championship. Yeah. Yeah, Long Island. Um, could try to go to that. And then, if the Cannons are in the championship, uh, in New Jersey, we'll absolutely be going to that.
For
Yes.
sure.
Um, yeah, so I guess let's move on to some of the other ones. I don't think there's any too many big surprises. I mean, they haven't announced the All-Star game yet. We're gonna assume that's gonna be KC again. Chicago gets a regular weekend now. Not Yeah, Chicago got a regular weekend last year. Um,
Yep.
and as well, all of these weekends. So the WLL starts 1 week behind the PLL, and then they go in lockstep all the way through Fairfield, July 19th, which is, I believe, 7 weeks in a row, plus the All-Star game. Um, and then 2 weeks off. So, you got all the homecomings for the four WLL teams in there. Obviously, there's some homecomings for the PLL as well, with Chicago and Fairfield, and there's neutral sites. And then the WL gets 2 weeks off. So they not a Denver homecoming, and they're not at Columbus, which is one that I think we were excited to see back. I know Anthony Kelly's from Ohio, played at Ohio State, is happy to see back. Um, we got a good number of Ohio State alumni in the PLL too, so I'm sure they're excited about that. Um, yeah, and then we're back to Boston, so they get I think basically the same weekend we got last year,
Yep.
um, August 7th through 9th. Oh, I guess I neglected to mention we will have those couple weeks off in June, which the PLL had promised us. So that's gonna be weird. Or
Also taking Memorial Day weekend off,
yes.
so that is sacred to the college game. So
Yep.
good that they're not overlapping with that because that would be a mess.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have to split our
Not good.
attention. Um, I mean, I think that if they did, they would still put the games, in the evening. But yeah, let's just not mess with that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we're back. We got the WLL regular season finale. So hopefully we get to see Charlotte North and the Guard clinch that one seed. Um, and it's looking like it's just no playoffs, just a championship game. So we're thinking it's going to be teams 1 and 2 in the standings. So yeah, hopefully we get the Guard there, and then our Cannon's homecoming. So stoked for that. I think we definitely got that booked in our calendars.
Yep.
Won't be missing anything. And then they wrap up the season a week later in Philadelphia. So 12 games as promised, or 12 weekends. Yeah, should be 12 games as well. Obviously we don't know who's playing when, so the Cannons will have a bye in there somewhere. I really hope it's not one of those weeks before or after that 2 week break in June. That would just be brutal. Like if they play May 29th and they
Hmm.
don't play again until June
Mhm.
21st.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too long. I also hope it's not Philly for that same
Yeah.
reason too, assuming I should, well, we didn't make it last year, so maybe I shouldn't assume, but obviously, you know what? It's not assuming, it's
Manifesting.
visualizing,
Yeah.
manifesting exactly. I am seeing the Cannons in the playoffs this year. We are returning,
Hmm.
and
You heard it right
you
here.
don't want any ec- too long of a break there.
Yeah.
So
Although I will say, Jack, you got it backwards. The Outlaws had their bye the last week of the season last year. Um, so they played their homecoming, then they had the last week off, and then they were the 1 seed, so they got an extra bye on top of that.
yeah, I don't
Mm.
like that. And and it didn't harm them. I mean,
No,
made it all the way, almost all the way technically,
they
but
played as many games as you could play.
they did. So they didn't come out flat in the semis, but still, it's
Yeah.
I want the boys to play some lax.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess looking at this, I'm not going to pick one. I guess it would most likely be one of those other homecomings. Feels like, maybe the Whips homecoming, maybe the Denver homecoming they could afford to miss, where it's just 1 week off. Um, yeah, and then so
Well, actually, if
Minneapolis.
it is the Whips homecoming though, then it is 2 weeks off because of the Memorial Day thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right, let's hope it's the Denver
Also,
homecoming. Let's hope the
yeah,
Cannons, because later game too,
right. Oh, oh, when's Cali? We can miss San Diego too.
June 26th,
Oh,
29th,
but then you're leaning into
the
All
All-Star
Star, so
game.
you're also getting that. So yeah, no. But let's on the topic of Baltimore though. We talked about it with New York,
Yeah.
but few other location changes. Obviously, the New York one is the massive one because it's literally a completely different part of the state, Albany and Long Island, two completely
Hmm.
different areas. The Whips are still in Baltimore, so I don't know too much about Baltimore, but it's still the city. So like it's not that big a deal, but they're going from Homewood to Loyola, which I mean, Loyola did win 2012, so it's legit program, but Homewood arguably the most historic field in our sport. So it is, I think, a bummer to see them not play
Yeah.
there. Although I'm sure, the Matt Rambo and the plethora of Terps on the Whips are happy to not be having to call Homewood Fields their home. So
Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting. It does feel like I mean, no disrespect for Loyola, that you lose something maybe. But also, it kind of feels nice to maybe separate it from like the Rabels at some point, where it's not like Paul Rabel's field where he played in
mhm.
college. Um, and maybe it was also just as simple as this was the only weekend that worked logistically with other things, and maybe Maryland or Hopkins rather wasn't available that weekend. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, then we got I think Minneapolis had the quarterfinals last year. They get that again. We go back to Salt Lake City a second time for the semifinals. I'm very glad the Cannons are not going to be playing the Archers in the semifinals, no matter what. Um, because I don't love a team getting a home game like that. I know it's kind of happened, and no matter where you put the game, it's going to be a semi-home game for someone. But assuming they're literally playing at the same field again, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. No, that ain't it. Even when they would do Philly for in the playoffs, it was a different stadium
Yeah,
than the Philly homecoming. It was what is it? Subaru
Subaru.
Park
Yeah,
or the Union play as opposed to Villanova. So even though it is the same city and all the fans are there, at least for the players, you can make the argument that it feels different. You're coming into a different environment. But
yeah,
this you're literally walking into that game saying, "Oh, this feels familiar. Oh yeah, that's because I was here for the Archers homecoming."
yeah. I'll say they better not have the Archers banners up.
Oh, there's no way. There's
Yeah,
no way. It's gonna be the black and yellow PLL,
yeah.
like generic stuff from the neutral sites, I'm
I hope
sure.
so. Yeah. I know again this would be huge advantage to the Wibs, but I went to the 2021 championship at Audi Field in DC where the DC United play.
Mm,
I would love for them to go back to that field. It's a really nice stadium. Fits I think a good size crowd and it's an MLS stadium, so it's like 15 or so thousand. Um yeah, I've been to that stadium a couple times for the XFL as well. Um yeah, I don't know why they haven't gone back, but I would love that instead of literally the home field for a team. Um, but
yeah.
then, yeah, we end the season in another MLS stadium. Um, what's it, Sports Illustrated Field or Park?
Yep.
Yeah, where the
Sport
New York Red Bulls
Stadium.
play. Stadium, Sports Illustrated Stadium. Yeah, which is in New Jersey, just a little bit outside of New York City. Um, but yeah, where hopefully we will be seeing the Boston Cannons raise that 2026 championship trophy. Uh, Yeah, so that's your schedule. Boston gets, I would say, basically a second home game in uh
Mhm.
in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And I think well, when they played New York and Fairfield a couple years ago, the crowd was split, but I for sure leaned more New York. Denver was I think a little bit more of a Boston crowd, but yeah, I think if they get the right opponent, that could almost be a third homecoming for them too. I mean, hopefully we just get a big crew down there. Um, because that's fun. It's a very small stadium, so it really fills up. And when that stadium's popping, it's popping. It's really cool. Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on for the PLL schedule and WLL schedule, of course?
No, I don't think so. No, just
Nothing here.
looking forward to when the matchups are dropped.
Yeah.
Really hoping we get a Cannons Dogs matchup at Harvard this year. Obviously it was awesome having the home and home in 2024 and was a bummer that they got the matchup last year and we didn't. So hopefully if anyone gets it this year, it's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. That's always going to be fun. That or I mean, I certainly take the Atlas as well. Um, I guess yeah. A couple other things that I just thought of now is with the 12 games. Okay, so 10, so you play everyone in your conference twice, and then you play the other conference once. With
Yeah.
12, you're going to wind up playing everyone in like every team but one twice. And I'm just curious how that determination's going to be made. Or
Well, or is it? I
or do you
mean,
play your conference three times? No, that wouldn't work. That would still need to be
no.
a team game schedule. Yeah,
Maybe it is, it's like the NFL has their just rotation. It's you play everyone in your conference twice and then you just rotate through um no, you play two out of the four teams in the other conference.
Twice. Yeah.
Well, you play them all once now.
Right.
And so you would play two of them twice, two of them once. And it probably is just like that cycle is this year
Yeah.
we're playing Denver and California twice. Next year it'll be Carolina and Utah. And just bing bong, bing bong.
Yeah. I feel like that probably makes the most sense. And then we didn't, it wasn't announced, but we didn't talk about the draft. Where I think
Mm.
originally it was gonna be at the same time, but I mean that would put it like during training camp. So I think the rumor
Well,
from
I
Dan.
did. Yeah, Dan's article initially said that the draft wasn't going to be moved, but then there was something, it must have been Kevin Brown on Inside Lacrosse. I wish I had pulled this up beforehand, but he had a comment in there about that it was going to be moved up. If I can pull up his article or whoever wrote, yeah, Kevin Brown. Yeah, while the PLL's college draft is typically held that second weekend of May, it is expected to be held earlier this year, a league spokesperson told IL.
Okay.
So that sounds like it's good information.
Yeah. Um, and this it does
How
make
much earlier though?
yeah. Um, does make it very interesting then if the draft is going to be like before the NCAA tournament field is announced. Um, I think potentially the Cannons should be looking at adding a defenseman. And if they're planning, hoping, needing that guy to be a starter, it would be interesting, picking someone like Billy Dwan, who is expected to be with Syracuse potentially to Final Four weekend. Then like, do you avoid picking him because you don't expect him to be available when you need him? I think that's a short-sighted way to draft, but by the same token, you have to be able to throw five poles out there on game day week one.
Well, I think this is a perfect segue into the other things we wanted to talk about because that's why you just go out and sign guys now to just have bodies. The guys, they might not be your true starters, your long-term guys. Maybe they are, maybe they pop and are fantastic, but you just sign guys to have guys because I think the first one that we can talk about that happened today, Marquez
Mm.
White, short stick D midi. My thought immediately went to, well, Zach Goodrich might not be
Yeah.
available because of Bryant commitments, so he slots in right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes total sense. So he was signed to the Woods last year, but as Casey found out in his research, tore his ACL in 2024, so probably wasn't ready. And then, I think that Woods team was clicking, so why would you, change things up? Um, he is playing in the NLL now for the Seals. We'll see. I don't know how much playing time he's gotten there. It was a little tough to track down. The NLL website is not always the most friendly to users.
I don't
And
think
he's
he's been
also,
signed the whole season to the Seals. Um, so I don't know that he would have had the opportunity to have that much
hmm,
time to play yet.
okay. And then he's also, as I saw on LinkedIn, he is, I think, in medical school and is a surgical assistant right now. So, how much
Mhm.
weekend availability and travel availability is he going to have? I don't know, but presumably he's requested that training camp week off already.
That's a busy
One would think.
schedule.
It is. It is. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
there exists already a list of PLL players and MLL players who have gone on to med school, and their professional careers typically don't last long after they've been accepted. So, we'll see. I mean, if it would be really cool for him if he finally got on the field. Definitely be rooting for that to happen. But obviously we
Mhm.
want Goodrich and Trainer and Fairman and Ramsey, and whoever else the Cannons might sign or trade for to be available as well. Um, yeah, I guess maybe let's go reverse chronological order. So I think it was just yesterday or the day before as we're recording this. Um, they also signed Matt Licata. who is from New Hampshire, very close to the Massachusetts border as well. I think we grew up pretty close together. And I actually played his high school in ultimate frisbee when I was in high school. Um,
Fun fact.
yeah. Um, yeah, Villanova class of 2025, 94 career goals, 48 career assists, starter since his sophomore year, and still got playing time his, or I guess maybe redshirt freshman year. Not sure, but decent, decent point totals. Did have a 5 goal, 6 point game against Marquette last year. Um, do you recall seeing his name on PLL draft boards? It's tough to recall the guys who didn't get picked, but let me see if I can just do a little research real quick and try to find that.
I don't remember seeing his name. Doesn't mean that it wasn't there, but is interesting to note that, obviously Villanova guy, not only is there the Matt Campbell connection, but you said that he's been a starter since his sophomore year, which would have been 2023, which would have been Matt's senior year. So I got to imagine that they played a lot together, actually probably had a good connection. So maybe we see that out on the field this summer.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I kind of assumed he was a midfielder when I saw the post, and then looked him up and saw he was attack. I think he's a righty. I have not looked up highlights to see if he's X or where he plays, but it feels like that attack spot, unless Marcus isn't available, is pretty locked down, or Coulter, I guess. So I don't know if they want him to play mid. Uh, yeah, I guess I'm just really interested about what coach is
Or
planning
just
for him.
depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It, go
sorry, Jack.
ahead, man.
No, I don't have anything else.
No, yeah, no, just it is an interesting move. I feel like that the depth pieces you normally think of, or at least like in terms of long term, is like I always think of that as a draft thing. You draft and develop guys. So, you could be drafting, developing someone for, to take over after Marcus. I know he's signed, but normally a guy that is you would draft and develop. It's the reason it's called draft and develop, not sign and develop. So, but I mean, it's 4 rounds of a draft. There's so much talent out there that's just not in the league, unfortunately. Hashtag expand the league.
Yep.
But we can't do that really until we can pay them enough. So I understand why we're not hashtag expand the league. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like does he make the team? Is he there to, like you said, Aidan, is he there to play mid, or is he there to be, a depth attackman and potential option to take over after Marcus? Is this Marcus's last year? He's been on a 1 year. I mean, we talked about it off air. It's the
Hmm.
1 year deals is not the same as it might be in other sports where it's a guy coming to the end. But Marcus has been, he's closer to the end of his career. So any of these years could be his last, especially he just had a kid. So wouldn't be surprised if he was giving it one last hurrah this summer.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to look up now how close he is to the all-time goals record. I think it was 48 going into last year. I think it's 30 something now. But it feels like, I mean, if he wins the title and he breaks that record, like he should absolutely retire. Like there's no better way to go out. If only
Yeah.
one or neither of those happens, TBD. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this has worked happened for you, but the PLL stats page has just not been loading for me the last couple days, which is yeah, connection timed out. That's awesome. Um,
Oh, well.
yeah. It's 30 something away, which he definitely is capable of doing. Obviously, he's always been a goals first guy. Um, and hopefully he gets those extra playoff games to make that happen. Um, okay, and then the most recent since our last episode, so not counting, Robbins and Tommy Burke and Colby Bars, um, Bryson Shaw, who did not play lacrosse in college, was an All-American in lacrosse in high school, but played football at Ohio State and USC, specifically defensive back. I think safety and corner probably a little both. Um, yeah, what are your both thoughts on that move?
Super interesting. I mean, I hope he's, you saw he posted on Instagram his wall ball routine. So he's got a stick in his hand right now, but I can't imagine he had a stick in his hand too often
Yeah.
out at USC. Maybe he went out with their club MCLA team and ripped it up a little bit. I mean, I would assume that he's technically still a student right now, has one more semester maybe. So, maybe he can go out to practice with them this spring and
Hope
get
so.
some live action. But yeah, I mean, just another one of those football lacrosse guys coming in. So it'll be interesting to see, is he up to PLL speed after not playing competitively since high school?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you guys something. Um, Seeing as how I am just getting into football this season.
You picked a good
um,
year for it.
yeah, I did. Yes, go Pets. Um, Now we are seeing more and more each season people coming from either playing football in college, football in the NFL, or other football leagues, um, transition over to lacrosse or come back to lacrosse. As somebody who is learning, like I said, football, can you guys talk to me? And I know we didn't talk about this before we started recording, but can you guys break down a little bit, like maybe what some of the skill set that overlaps between the two are? Because I would love to know, like, hey, what do these two sports have in common that seems to be creating these football players to be really good lacrosse players?
Yeah. Well, Jack, you did actually play high school football, right? So I think I
I
might
did.
let you answer this first.
I mean, I think it depends on the position, but I think that so there's a lot of ways that you can cross over. But the first thing is just the athleticism. If you're an athlete, you're an athlete. Obviously, there's very specific skills for both of those sports. So, not any athlete can just like pick up one or the other and be a star. But if you have a background in both of them and so you know what you're doing, like if you are athletic enough, I think that can go a long way. But for someone maybe say like I think Bryson Shaw is a D mid, so there's a lot of overlap there. I think with the defensive back of positioning and tracking your opponent. Uh, you lock in on the hips. You don't fall for the head fakes. Don't fall for the stick fakes. They can only go where their feet go. Watch their hips. Same. It's that you do that as a D mid, and you do that as a defensive back covering a receiver. On the flip side, Jared Bernard coming over playing attack after being he was a receiver, right?
Well,
Aidan,
he was a
I think,
quarterback in college, but then switched to like
but then
receiver.
switched to receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the offensive mindset, the explosion, the dodge you make, the only difference between uh, making a move, making a break on a route in football and a dodge in lacrosse is that in lacrosse you got to stick in your hands. It's a lot of the same movements like that. So I think just a lot of little pieces like that can translate over really seamlessly, assuming that you've got the skill, the talent, and the background to like actually play the sport at a high level.
Yeah. Something I thought about a while ago, which is it's certainly not revolutionary, but it was just, me thinking more concretely about this crossover is like when you're a receiver in the NFL, like you have one dodge, you have one chance like to beat your guy on most routes. So it's not like like lacrosse offense is like you dodge, the guy stays with you, so you pass it to X, he passes it over to another guy, he tries to redodge. It's like, no, you have one chance to get open on this play. And so you need to be really good at getting that separation as a receiver. And I feel like that
Mhm.
translates so naturally to being, midfielder attack in lacrosse, which I think is why Jared Bernhardt is so good at both, because he is obviously super explosive, super fast, super quick. Um, and I think it's the same deal with basketball. Obviously it can have multiple chances, but it's a lot of the same principles. Where I feel like basketball is really good cross training for lacrosse too. Um,
Lacrosse is the perfect, you hear it all the time to the point that lacrosse people, or a lot of them, are probably sick of hearing it, but it's just an incredible blend of every sport.
yeah, like no matter what your main sport is, whatever, lacrosse is a very good way for someone to develop in other sports,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Now then, let me just get this right. If so, Bryson went to Ohio State and then USC, and so that would mean with where he's at in school right now, he would have overlapped with the Bears quarterback, Caleb Williams, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That's kind of really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry that the Bears, I was rooting for the Bears. I was, hoping that they would win just because they've had a rough go, I'm
Yeah.
told, for a long time. But
You were told
yeah, I think
correctly.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of
That
wish that.
really. You go ahead, Jack.
No, I was just gonna say, like, can we sign someone that played football at UNC a few years ago? I would love to have a little
Yeah.
Drake May connection.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we got to look up.
So
Was there anyone who's on the UNC lacrosse and football teams?
yeah, or
Because
anyone on the UNC football team that played lacrosse in high school, like,
right. Uh,
let us know. Marcus, you played at UNC. Like, do you have connections still to the
yeah.
program? Like,
When we finally get
let's
Marcus
get
on the
in there.
pod, that's got to be the first thing we ask.
Do you know Drake May?
Yeah. And could you meet him if you wanted? Um, this is
Yeah,
no offense.
Marcus, please come on the pod.
Yeah. I know
We'd
you're,
love to
yeah.
have you. We know
And
you're
Alex.
busy. And yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's extremely busy now,
Yeah.
being a dad.
Yeah. That is for sure the most full-time of full-time jobs. Um, let's see. I think we've covered all the canon specific news. I'm just gonna go to their Instagram real quick to make sure we didn't miss anything. Yeah, Marquez White, Matt Licata,
Oh,
Bryson.
Bryson also. Pretty sure I saw a photo from back in the day where he played on the same team as Schellenberger.
That's right. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
which is funny because, well, I mean, they're not from that far apart, but Schellenberger is from Virginia and he's from Maryland, so it must have been some big travel team, like club team.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that would be another fun thing to ask him about rather. Um, because let's see. Nope, never mind. Um, yeah, that would be really cool to see the two of them, I guess, reunited after all the time, or how like there's that clip of CJ Kerr's dodging against Connor Kurse with Colin Kurse in goal. Like, it's not as cool as that, but at least to see like these two hopefully old friends reunited
Hmm.
after so 2018, I think was that photo. So 6 years, 8 years. Um, yeah, that'd be. I mean, lacrosse is a small world, so I'm sure he knows a bunch of other people in the PLL and or at least who had a look at it or in other top college programs. Because you got to think if he's an All-American, he was around a lot of pretty good lacrosse players in his home state. Um, yeah, sorry, I feel like I lost the plot there a little bit. Um, all right, I guess maybe we're done with the canon specific news for today. So we can just touch on some of the other big headlines from the
Yes,
coaching.
in other news,
Yeah. So Roy Colsey, one and
Hmm.
done as the coach of the Chaos.
Interesting.
Yeah,
What do we think
contract.
happened?
I really don't know because it said contract dispute.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, it couldn't have been that much money if it was just money. I don't know what other terms are in the contract. Because obviously he doesn't get
Well,
roster control. There's a different GM. Um,
wasn't
yep.
there an article on Inside Lacrosse about this as well? Of what? Why can't I find it? Exactly about like that. Basically, his contract was not uh increased as much. He wanted to like an increase in line with the salary
Oh, that's
cap and the
right.
players, and didn't give it to him for whatever reason. I'm reading this on Inside the Cross.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
says
they
Colsey was offered an increase in salary, but a raise significantly smaller than the 11% increase in the league's salary cap. As a result, he could not come to terms with the league on a contract renewal. So, yeah, it was interesting, like giving your coach a 1 year deal, but maybe he wanted that with the understanding that the salary cap was going to increase for 2026, because that was, the end of the media rights deal, start of a new one. Um, I mean, yeah, I guess it's hard to come down super firm on one side of this or another without knowing all the numbers, all the information. Um, Significantly smaller is interesting because, like, an 11% increase is good, but it's not like, you know, you wouldn't be going from making 30 grand a year to be making 70 or even 60. You'd be 30 to what, 33, 34.
right.
Mm.
Well,
Um,
and it's also like also from the other side of it, though, just the question of if the pay is increasing this much for the players, why is it not increasing that much for the coaches?
yeah,
Like, what is the holding that back?
right. Because you mentioned, or the article mentions as well, he's a coach at a high school, which makes perfect sense for him, obviously for his interests and talents, but for the players to get to be full time, I think it's equally, if not more important, for the coaches to be full time as well. And that's definitely an easier task to accomplish. Because it's 8 guys or 16, including the GMs. Although I feel like you wouldn't want to be paying the coach full time money and the GM not full time money, but um, it does feel maybe a little bit easier to part time GM than part time coach, especially if you're asking people to be living in market and practicing daily, if not several times a week. Um,
Right.
So yeah, but the flip side of this, Stephen Brooks, always the coach
Hmm.
you made, never the coach, finally made the a head coach for the first time. Um,
Yeah.
so he leaves the New York Atlas, joins the head coach of Carolina Chaos. Presumably, he's going to be coaching them down in Champ Series, um, and the Atlas will be scrambling to find someone. Um,
Yeah. Anybody that we think they might, I mean,
I
I
don't know.
can't
Yeah, I don't know what his
imagine Pressler
contract.
would.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract rules are. I'm really scared it would be Brody Merrill, like if he just because the cannons aren't there.
Ugh,
Wait, I had that same thought,
Yeah,
and
but
I don't want to see that.
no, because he has no affiliation with the Alice. He never played for them, obviously. Um, I'm sure he knows people on the team. That he's just been around the
Hmm.
class too long not to. But yeah, I'm like, hopefully he doesn't just want to coach no matter who. Hopefully it's his Boston boys. Um, so yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I'm hoping it isn't. I
Yeah,
think there probably are a good number of. I mean, hey, Eric Lodge is retired. Maybe he could coach him.
that's
See some
true.
years of the Atlas. Um, yeah, if maybe I can pull up like the 2021 Atlas roster and just see who from that is retired and still around and coaching because it feels like a lot of people who anyone who would be interested in coaching is probably already coaching at a college or high school now. Um, let's see. It's also it's bugging me. I'm going to the roster here, and it still says no one for the championship series roster when we know like every team has announced at least some players are have committed or signing, which I think is an
Mhm.
interesting. That's a different way than they've done it in previous years. I think. I guess with the new champ series window. All right, the PLL stats website still not working for me, so we will have to figure that
Yeah, it
out.
didn't load for me either.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to figure it out. I'm sure
Yeah,
the league has known about this for a lot longer than it's been made public. So, it's not like they don't have anyone on the roster and they're trying to figure out who their coach is going to be with like a month until the event. But yeah, it is not a good position for the Atlas to be in, unless Pressler can get away from his high school coaching responsibilities and go down there himself, which he has not been able to do years previously, or at least we would assume he hasn't been able to do. Um,
well, one person we know who is not going to be coaching is Miles Jones because he got signed just for Champ Series.
yeah,
Interesting.
really interesting.
Um,
Yeah, I think he is the first one of these contracts we've seen.
mhm.
There have certainly been a bunch of players who have re-signed through 2026, but it's been through 2026. It hasn't just been a Champ Series contract. Even
Right.
changing teams, right? Like Nick turned to the Chaos, Bertrand to the Chaos, Gobrecht to the Water Dogs, or sorry, Gobrecht to the Atlas from the Water Dogs. Um, yeah, we haven't. Those have been full 2026 contracts, and given that Miles Jones has been there, I think 3 years, no, maybe longer. Um, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, how long has he been in the league?
I think
Upwards
Since the
of
start.
7 years?
Oh,
yeah,
it,
2016 or 17, I
16,
think.
15, 15 or
Hmm.
16, I
I
think. I know he
I
won at Duke
believe.
in 14. I
Yeah, I
just,
think I think a PLL trivia question from the app from last week was who was the first overall pick in 2016, and it was him. So we're gonna say since 2016.
Okay.
So a decade of pro
yeah, it's
lacrosse.
16.
Yeah, which makes him in his early 30s. Um,
Yeah.
the league's getting younger. I mean, I think the Atlas did. It felt like revamp their roster in a pretty big way in 2025, and you would think that's just going to continue in 26.
Hmm.
So I don't know who they're eyeing, who Pressler's eyeing, but there's got to be some midi that they're thinking of taking a look at who
Yeah.
is younger and with more miles still to go on him than Miles Jones at this point. Um, which is a bummer because obviously he's had, a fantastic career collegiately and in the pros. And at his peak was just really, really fun to watch. I think though,
Yeah.
yeah, huge range, obviously incredibly strong, big, fast. Um, So I'm
Yeah.
certainly
Everything.
rooting for the
He's
Atlas
a,
series, but will
yeah.
be wanting him to do well.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in the league for a long time. He's a vet. He's got a family. We, of course, want him to have success. It's just very interesting I just wonder what team, and I don't know the answer to this because this is just coming to me off the top of my head, but like what team would want to pick him up and benefit from having a player like him added to their roster? Because after his contract from Champ Series is up, he goes back into the pool
Yeah.
and can get picked up by anybody.
I think the first thing that we need to say is what team would benefit any of them. The question is
That's fair.
wh-
Yes.
where does he actually fit and make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely more of what I meant. But yeah, I mean, like where would it make sense for him to go?
I I mean, with all of these guys, it obviously always makes the most sense to just return. And he's been he started with that the Atlas, right? From
No,
2019. No?
Chaos.
He
He
was
was,
on Chaos?
yeah, he was with the bomb squad when they were shooting all those twos in 2019,
You're right. I
and
totally
then
forgot about
was
that.
traded straight up for Sergio Salcido, which was robbery on the part of Nat St. Laurent. So well done them.
Yeah.
Um, and then was
Oh,
traded,
Redwoods. I totally forgot about that.
yeah, and then was traded 1 for 1 for Romar Dennis.
Right. Okay. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, so when you think about that though, that's like like the fact that he only re-signed makes me think that there's some reason that he doesn't want to stay
Hmm.
in New
Yeah,
York and that he's just re-signed because he wants to play Champ Series, basically. So I don't know, is he not wanting to does the team he wants to play for not is the team not in Champ Series then, which would rule out the Outlaws, Chaos, and Whips. Do you want to come to Boston? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take you. I'll take you, Miles. But oh,
Yeah. He did.
that would
why
be a
don't?
move.
I think it was his Instagram story because I can't find it now, but he did post a picture of himself in his 2019 Chaos jersey. Like I think a picture from 2019, not a picture
Hmm,
of him now in that jersey. Um,
yeah.
so I don't know. Does that mean he wants to go to the Chaos? Does that mean he and the Chaos are gonna go? It's interesting, if that was the plan that he didn't just sign with them already to play for Champ Series. Um, so interesting questions all around. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be. I did expect more of these Champ Series only contracts. Actually, I believe I saw the Atlas signed a couple other players. I think they took Jack Chorus and shoot, I can't remember the other player, but it was two like Maryland guys. Like I think one of them legitimately only played for University of Maryland, and then Jack Chorus also played for the Whip Snakes or has played for the Whip.
Shocking. The
Yeah,
Whips signed Maryland guys.
I know. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Jack Chorus and Eric Molliver. So yeah, Molliver has been. Oh no, he went to Duke. My mistake. Yeah, but those are just Champ Series contracts, which for guys like that is not significantly different than what we've seen before. Because back when, those contracts went through March, then this was essentially just signing a 2026 contract for the last bit of or I guess signing a 25-26 contract for the last bit of the year. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. I guess I did expect some more like I guess snipers for the lack of a better word, like maybe elite players who were going to get a contract with someone or maybe wanted to come back to their own team, but their team didn't make Champ Series. So, like if Marcus Holman wanted to, I'm sure he could have signed with the Atlas, with the Cat, like with any of the four teams, especially the Outlaws, because their whole offense is going to be missing for Champ Series, earn himself a couple grand, try to win another title, and then come back to Boston, where he obviously will have a home as long as he wants it.
Well, maybe that's the point though that maybe the league even thought about that, but it's showing that le being in the locker room is too important to coaches to players that they don't want to. Oh, I'll go just because that kind
Mhm.
of defeats the whole purpose of being on the team and being one of the guys who are like, yeah, no, don't worry. Like Marcus, like, yeah, don't worry. I'm a Boston Cannon. Like, I'm with you guys. I am gonna go sling it with New York for a week, but don't worry. Like,
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. Like, this is just like a one-time thing. Like, you're my
Hmm.
love.
Yeah.
Like, that
It is
doesn't
weird.
work.
Yeah, it is weird. And I mean, it's a good chunk of change if you win. I think it's like 10 grand for the winning team, which is obviously not bad for, I guess it winds up being 2 weeks work at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be weird to come back to the locker room and then also to have these like kind of quick friendships with guys from another team. Also, as we said, Marcus is not the best example for this because he is a pretty new dad, but um, yeah, I am surprised that we haven't seen it so far, and that the one time it's been used, it is for a pretty long time player who's been with this current team for several years. Um,
Right.
yeah. Okay. I guess two other contracts that are somewhat interesting. Brett Dobson re-signed with the Archers through 2029. So a 4-year commitment for him, which I think is the longest that the league has given out. I don't think it's even possible to go back through MLL history and figure out if that is the case for the MLL too. But yeah, I can't think of a 4-year contract that I've seen from the PLL. So um, yeah,
I mean, good for them.
yeah,
Like Brett Dobson's a phenomenal goalie, so good for Utah and locking him up long term. But yeah, we talked a little bit about it off air. It's definitely interesting from the player perspective to get locked in for such a long time with so much of everything around the league being up in the air in terms of salaries. And I know that Rabel talks all the time about the seeing 2028 as this inflection point, which might be when they go to a full-time
yeah,
home and away. So if you're signed through 2029, even if you're saying after the 2028 Olympics, that would mean 2029 is the first season of home and away. So all of a sudden, then Brett's like living in Utah full time. I don't know where he is
Mm,
right now, and 2029 is 3 years away, so he could move between now and then. But it is interesting to in interesting in a good way. Like this is where we want the league to go. So like
for sure.
I'm thrilled that a player is making this kind of long-term commitment, but it's so out of the norm of what we're used to seeing that it is still shocking to see it actually happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool though. Like it feels like more of a real term, like contract, like not that 1 and 2 year deals aren't real or legit. And there's some 3-year deals out there as well. Like I believe it was Ethan Rawl signed a 3-year deal last offseason. Um, but yeah, it's a good commit. I think the one potential worry, like you said, is if players are in market full time. Like I don't know if the terms of Brett's contract say that, it's like if the like how salaries are not always the same value each year. Like it could be a contract where he's getting paid more in 2029 than he is in 2026. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, if it is, if it's 35 a year, whatever it is, 40 a year, but then 2029, the salary cap bumps up where the starting salary is 40, and then, top goaltenders or top players are making 80, then he potentially just, you know, lost himself out on 40 grand
mhm.
in, again, 4 years from now, 3 years from now. Um, But yeah, still overall, I think good thing for him, and I'm sure that can be renegotiated in 2029 if the league is in the place we all want it to be, where you're playing what's it, 6 home games, 6 away games, or whatever it is at that point.
Right.
Yeah. Um, I think maybe just one more. So long time outlaw, then long time water dog, Mikey Schlosser, back with the
Mhm.
Outlaws. That feels like a definite. I mean, clearly he wanted to go there. He's a West Coast guy, so Denver is kind of that was as close as you could go in the MLL days. But he's in Northern California, so maybe the Water Dogs just weren't interested, or maybe he wanted to come back home to Denver. Um, Also, the first time we're going to see him in Champ Series. I know he's a pretty quick guy. He's got some good range, so it's going to be exciting to see him in that format. He can run by someone really quick. He can shoot on the run. So I'm excited to see what he's got to offer. Um, oh, and also Brian Phipps coming out of retirement. I think the last time he played, um, I want to say it was a 2023 regular season, but was also in the Champ Series before that. And he had tweeted this very famous, or not very famous, but he tweeted this photo of himself. It's like, believe it or not, I had fun, and his leg is just entirely like black and purple.
Oh, that photo. Yeah, I'm not playing goalie.
Yeah,
Like
not in sixes.
I never wanted to, but that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, at least he knows what he's signing up for. Um, But it is, I mean, it is interesting too, coming out of retirement for the Atlas. Obviously, the Whips aren't there, and the Whips hate sixes, so he probably wouldn't have wanted to do that. I will say he's probably going to face fewer shots playing behind the Atlas defense than the Whips makes defense, because
This is
historically,
true.
the Whips are real bad at sixes. So they're going to have the ball more. They're probably going to play better defense in front of them. Um, but yeah, Brian Phipps and I guess Will Mark is probably your starter. So yeah, Lee Mentman coaching at Michigan, presumably then not available for Champ Series because the season's going to be starting or will have started at that point. Um, so I guess I'm sure the Atlas are a little bummed to be missing out on him. Obviously, great goalie, had a wonderful collapse there last February that helped get the Cannons their title. But yeah, it was very cool. You wonder what that phone call was like, or maybe, conversation with his wife, maybe promising that he's just the backup and not actually going to play at all. Um, but yeah, not a name that I expected to see on a lacrosse field in 2026.
No.
Yeah.
When did he retire?
I think it was 2023, and
Okay.
he was already backing up. I forget if it was Krebs at that point, but
It's like Philip Rivers situation here
yeah,
almost.
yeah, basically, except that you know he's not quite trying to make the playoffs. Um,
Trying to win a championship.
yeah, that's true. He's trying to win a championship, but there's a little bit less pressure on him, I would say. And he probably has, I don't know, 1/10 or 1/5 the children that um Philip Rivers does. Let's see, just confirming. Yes, 2023, he played exactly one game.
Yep.
2022, he played zero. So, um, yeah, retired in 2023. I think he was backing up Bernlohr, and he retired, and then obviously Bernlohr retired a couple years later. So yeah, excited to see him out there. Hopefully, we don't actually have to see him out there too much. Um, all right, I think we did it. No new Canon signings, or rather, no new signings of their free agents. So Fairman, Gittleman, Manny Apple, Henningberg, Camizio still out there. Um, we will update you all, Instagram and podcasts as soon as that does happen, if and when they do.
I'm
Uh,
ready for something to happen.
yeah, I mean they're definitely keeping us on our toes with these
Yeah.
non, well, Marcus White did sign last year, but like the people without PLL playing time. I remember a couple years ago and they're signing Apple and yeah, I don't know, I want a big splashy move.
Hmm.
Um,
Wait till March.
yeah,
I think that's when we'll see a lot of good stuff in March.
for sure. Um, and then yeah, the WLL, I guess WLL and PLL drafts. That's gonna be It's a lot of stuff coming up, but I guess yeah. Waiting for Champ Series, waiting for the next free agency, and I don't know. College lacrosse is going to be starting soon, so we'll have to get
Hmm.
get some plans out to go to some BU, BC, Harvard, um, maybe a little Tufts D3 action.
Road trip out to UMass.
Yeah, yeah,
I've never been.
Oh,
yeah. Me neither.
Amherst is beautiful,
Yeah, yeah. Let's do
but
it.
let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm game.
yeah. That is that is to be announced on a future episode when it's a little bit warmer outside. Um,
Yes, because Aidan, we nearly froze at the Bryant game last season.
oh yeah, that was
It
that was
was,
a miserable game. Miserable weather. The team won. It was very cool to
yeah.
see the team play, but yeah, um, not the best weather for lacrosse. Um, all right, yeah,
Spring sport.
yeah, I know. I was looking at old, yeah, like old schedules of like trying to look at some of these players the Cannons have signed. Like the first game of the year is like February 12th. I'm like, come on, to
Season
scrape,
starts January 31st
yeah,
this
scrape the
year.
snow off the field.
Right.
Literally.
That's crazy. Yeah, all right. We will be back probably in 2 weeks with more updates, whatever else has happened in the league. Hopefully we'll have Champ Series rosters by then. So I think we'll be able to discuss that if nothing else.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, we're still working to get a guest on for
Hmm.
the near future. So we will be back in a couple weeks. But until then, go Cannons.
Go Cannons.
Go Cannons.
Boom.
Boom.